Hello there. Today I'm going to be talking about the tragedy of Ashoka Tano the Great. So first we're going to go into the background about her. So who could have foreseen a Force-sensitive baby being born a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away? Or to be a bit more precise, on Chile in 36 BBY. So this baby is of course Ashoka Tano, who went on to become one of the most beloved characters in Star Wars, both in our universe and in hers. So what makes Ashoka so great, and what is the tragedy that can describe her life? So hopefully this video will answer both those questions, but we'll only be looking at her life during the Clone Wars. So before we reveal her greatness and discuss her tragedy, we must first look at Ahsoka's origins. So as mentioned before, Ahsoka is a Togruta born on Chile in 36 BBY, and Jedi Master Plo Koon recruited her to the Jedi Order 3 years later where she began training to be a Jedi. So 11 years after she began training as a Jedi, the galaxy was thrown into a 3-year conflict, begun the Clone Wars had. So later that year, a bond would begin to be forged between master and apprentice, and between friends, as Ahsoka was assigned to Anakin Skywalker to be his apprentice, and this happened during the Battle of Christophsis. Ahsoka showed some skill with a blade, mastering Jarkai, which is the use of 2 sabers at once, and became proficient in Form 4, Ataru, and demonstrated his skill against many skilled opponents. So why is she great? So although the only title she got called during the Clone Wars was Commander and Snips, it is only fair to also give her the title of the Great. So why can we call her the Great? Is it due to her combat skills, perhaps her knowledge and power in the Force, or is it due to her character, with her never being cruel or cowardly and never failing to be kind? So using those admirable character traits, Ahsoka earned the respect of the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, Captain Rex, and notable Jedi Masters like Plo Koon, Yoda, and Acosta Nu. So despite some early command mistakes in the first few years of the Clone Wars, for example the Battle of Ryloth, the 501st warmed to her and even painted their helmets in her colour for her final mission, the Siege of Mandalore. So Ahsoka was a great person who lived her life by the simple motto, when you find people who need your help, you help them, no matter what. I guess it's just who I am. So she was a great person and she was also a great warrior. So some of the opponents Ahsoka duelled included Sith Assassin Asajj Ventress, Jedi Killer General Grievous, and Sith Lord Darth Maul, whom she bested. So Ahsoka's strength in the Force may have assisted her potent lightsaber skills and is demonstrated many places. So Ahsoka can match Anakin's agility and precision in combat, on the ground or up in space, and made her a valued pilot for the 501st. So Ahsoka had the rank of Commander in the Grand Army of the Republic and proved her leadership qualities throughout the war. For example, solo missions like on Onderon, training up local rebels like Saw Gerrera, which was used to overthrow the Separatists. And her leadership qualities were shown again on Mandalore multiple times as she went as an undercover agent, rooting out corruption, and also leading the Siege of Mandalore, in which she not only bested Darth Maul in combat, but captured him. All this shows that Ahsoka Tano is great, and can be summarized like this: she's one of the best star pilots in the galaxy, a cunning warrior, and a good friend. Actual tragedy. So now we've seen why Ahsoka deserves the title the Great, but does her teenage years earn the description of tragedy? The beginning of the tragedy of Ahsoka Tano the Great dates back to 22 BBY at the Battle of Christophsis. This was the first battle Ahsoka took part in, and although the battle was quite tame in terms of violence, Ahsoka was just 14 years old. So this 14-year-old would lose her teenage years to a war she didn't sign up for and would see her friends die in battle, something no child should ever witness. Sometime after her debut battle, Ahsoka would be seeing conflict again, and this time at the Battle of Ryloth. So Anakin, in all his wisdom, thought it wise to let his apprentice lead Blue Squadron to break Captain Tuck's blockade. So giving leadership to someone at such a young age would prove foolish, as Ahsoka would disobey in order to retreat and lost all but 2 of her men, and also caused Admiral Yularen to be injured. Seeing the consequences of her actions would not have been pleasant for Ahsoka, and she was given very little time to recover emotionally from her previous battle, as she was given even more responsibility for the next attempt at breaking the blockade, and that attempt did fortunately succeed. So death and danger would follow Ahsoka throughout the Clone Wars, with death snapping at her heels for many conflicts. So some of the more prominent close encounters with death include the Blue Shadow virus, where Ahsoka contracted the virus with a 96% fatality rate, and she also narrowly escaped a horrible death in the cold emptiness of space after Cad Bane attempted to flush her out an airlock. So death does finally catch up to Ahsoka on Mortis, where the son used her as a pawn before killing her once her purpose was served. Fortunately, Ahsoka was resurrected by the daughter, but this ordeal would have left some pretty horrific memories, especially for just a 16-year-old. So now we move on to the really sad stuff in Ahsoka's life, and we're starting with the temple bombing of 19 BBY. Anyone who knew Ahsoka will know that she would never bomb the Jedi Temple. So despite this fact, the Jedi Council, made up of at least 5 Jedi Masters who knew Ahsoka, thought she did, and voted to expel her from the Order. So the real culprit for the temple bombings was a friend Ahsoka had known since the Second Battle of Geonosis, and as Obi-Wan said, the worst thing about betrayal is that it never comes from an enemy. So if the Clone Wars had finished with 6 seasons, her tragedy would have ended with Ahsoka's friend betraying her, the Order she had served loyally forsaking her, and leaving the only things she ever knew or cared about. Then the 7th season came along, and the tragedy got so much worse. So after 2 close friends are briefly united in Ahsoka and Anakin, they are torn apart as Ahsoka goes to Mandalore with Captain Rex and the 501st. So on the return journey back to Coruscant, Order 66 was issued. So Rex, who had known Ahsoka for 3 years, who had forged a strong bond with her, would turn his blaster on her with the intent to kill her. So Ahsoka survived this and put Rex back in the right mind, but they were on the Tribunal, a Venator-class Star Destroyer, full of clones, who were ready to shoot her. So there was to be no reasoning, no loophole that could be exploited. Ahsoka's friends, the 501st, were going to kill her at any cost. So Ahsoka was not prepared to harm her friends as she tried to escape the Tribunal, and this ultimately leads to the Tribunal crashing onto a nearby planet, killing all the clones in the process. Despite having her entire squad killed, her friends trying to kill her, the Order she once knew destroyed, the ultimate tragedy was that she never got to properly say goodbye to her master and her friend Anakin, and would not see him again until Darth Vader, where she would learn the terrible truth. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, if enjoy can be the right word for describing the tragedy of Ahsoka. So her journey through the Clone Wars resulted in my heart, which is not a harp being plucked. I'll talk to you again very soon.